Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining the Journey of Development. Our topic today is personalized learning. The goal for our program is to facilitate a meaningful learning experience and discussion that is engaging and helpful to professionals within HR, focusing on the learning and development environment. The format for our event today will be each panelist will have up to 10 minutes to share their unique perspective on how they personalize learning for employees within their work environments. Once we hear from each panelist, we will open up for a group discussion and Q&A. Everyone is welcome to share, so please feel free to ask or share whatever you think will be helpful. Type questions in the Q&A box. Please be specific if you'd like your question addressed by the entire group or by a specific panelist. Raise your hand if you would like to speak directly to the group or to share your questions or elaborate on your experience. Hello, my name is Nicole Afton. I'm a Senior Account Manager with Prior Learning Solutions and your host and moderator for today. It's exciting to share that Prior Learning Solutions has been recognized as the top leadership training company by Training Industry, Inc. If you are not familiar with Prior, we offer a truly blended approach to learning with flexible, comprehensive, and cost-effective enterprise solutions. Our solutions include over 7,000 public instructor-led seminars, customized on-site instruction, and over 5,000 SCORM-compliant e-learning courses that can be deployed through your LMS or through our very easy-to-use cloud-based system. We also provide unrivaled support and do so in a number of ways, including unlimited live support for curriculum development or design of learning paths, employee marketing and engagement programs, as well as customer service. We truly partner with you and your teams to ensure you meet your strategic learning and development goals. Before we jump into our topic today, having a captive group for HR, talent management, and learning and development professionals who like helping others, I thought sharing or highlighting someone who's looking for a position within the field would be a great time. We have Jordan Murphy today. Jordan has extensive experience within the HR director roles. He's looking for a position located in either Atlanta, Dallas, or Chicago. He's focusing on industries in healthcare, tech, CPG, or hospitality. Please check out Jordan's profile on LinkedIn. I've added a link in your chat for your reference. Whether your organization or perhaps you know someone in your network seeking a great HR candidate, please reach out to Jordan and or share his link with your connections. We have Ryan Saxe will be our first panelist today. Ryan is currently serving as the Executive Director of Curriculum and Professional Learning for the School District of Manatee County. In this role, Mr. Saxe provides executive-level leadership in the areas of early learning, K-12 curriculum and assessment, media services, textbook services, and district-wide professional learning services. The division is designed to support the work of teachers, administrators, and support staff in meeting the learning needs of all 48,000 Manatee County students. Mr. Saxe has also served in the School District of Manatee County as Executive Director of Secondary Schools, where he is responsible for providing support and leadership for 17 middle and high schools. Prior to his work in Florida, Mr. Saxe worked for the Office of School Improvement at the West Virginia Department of Education, where he assisted low-performing schools in 9 school districts. In addition, he has served in several school-level roles. Before leaving the classroom, he earned the distinction of District Teacher of the Year, West Virginia State Agricultural Teacher of the Year, and West Virginia State Agricultural Program of the Year. Mr. Saxe has earned his Associate of Science degree from The Ohio State University, a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture and Environmental Education from West Virginia University, a Master of Arts in Educational Leadership from Marshall University, and is actively completing coursework towards a doctorate in Educational Leadership from Liberty University. Mr. Saxe will be graduating with an Education Specialist degree in Educational Leadership in March of 2017.
The opportunity to speak to everyone today to just give you a little bit of a insight as to what we do here in Manatee County and specifically as it relates to my role as Executive Director about really how we make sure that we improve the capacities of our staff, our support staff, our educators, our educational leaders, as well as our district leaders. So there was really a question that was proposed to us to sort of talk about, to give us a direction here this afternoon. And that question was, how are you personalizing the learning experience of leadership, core and technical skills training to engage and motivate employees? And then the second portion of that question is what impact has this had on career tenure and growth within our organization? So in Manatee County, we have over 50 schools and about 150 school-based administrators. And then, of course, we have a senior leadership team at the district level, as well as a cabinet team, all educational leaders. And so with that, with the district level leadership comes a lot of capacity that we can offer to support our school-based administrators and leaders in the schools. And so what we've done is we've developed a tiered level of support for all of our schools and our school leaders. And that tiered level of support is, you have tier 1 schools, you have tier 2 schools, and tier 3 schools. And based upon that level is the type of support that the school administrator would receive. A lot of the information that goes into identifying a school for a specific tier is based upon, really, it's organizational effectiveness. It revolves around the ability of the school to continue to improve academics, to have students graduating that are college and career ready, as reported through the different data sources that we have. And then, of course, also experience level of the principal. So our level 1 tier is for schools that are specifically struggling. And so in Manatee County, that would be any school that would be a D or an F as it relates to the Florida school grades model. That would be a level 1 school that would receive very intensive support from the district team, and they would actually be assigned a mentor and a senior level administrator that would coach them on a consistent basis. And so one of the things that coach would really be responsible for is being able to be available to that school leader on a frequent basis. We try to get out there at least once every 2 weeks to the site of the educational leader, and it's very structured. We monitor what we expect, and sometimes that's a learning curve for our new leaders, because they don't know sometimes what they don't know, and so they have to have that executive level coaching to make sure that they're looking at the right types of data and making decisions that are informed through the use of data. In addition, those tier 1 schools would have a very focused professional learning plan that is aligned to their strategic plan. But this focused professional learning would be embedded through the coaching of the executive level leaders. We conduct online book studies with all of our principals in tier 1. We have face-to-face trainings, and then we also, for all the tiers, we hold monthly leadership meetings that have a focus on learning, though. So it goes beyond just the operational type meeting of staffing or finance updates, but there is a built-in sustained professional learning plan for all of our PK through 12 principals. But then we also break it down. We break it down to where, because we're so big, to where we have small group principal meetings as well, that's broken out by the grade span. So all of our elementary principals will get together once a month. All of our middle schools principals will get together once a month, as well as our high school principals will get together once a month. And that is specifically for leadership training and development. It can range from anything from content area, because these school leaders are really the chief instructional leaders of those schools. So they have to have a good working knowledge of the curriculum and the resources that are available to teachers to offer a world-class education. But it's also on how to evaluate their staff effectively with constructive feedback that is supporting the teachers in that learning environment, and to help build educator and teacher capacity. So that what I just discussed with is level 1. We have level 2, which are new principals and or schools that have shown some improvement but we need to be able to, again, offer that sustained support. So just because they've shown improvement over 1 or 2 years, we don't want to drop off all that support and leave them to their own devices. We want to be able to have that camaraderie, that networking that has existed in the past that has helped support them. So while our intensity of support is not going to be as extreme as it is for a level 1 principal, a level 2 principal is still going to have support where the executive level coach is making contact with them at least once a month. And those principals also have the opportunity to participate in a book study. And of course, they participate in all the monthly meetings and trainings for our principals. And then finally, level 3. Level 3 are experienced principals, as well as our high-performing schools. Those principals receive probably the least amount of support as it relates to coaching and so on and so forth, but that's because they've been able to prove themselves, and that their school is a well-oiled machine. Things are going in the right direction. We're continuing to see academic improvements. These are the people that would also potentially be assigned as mentors to new principals or new assistant principals. So it's really those individuals that have gone through the process, and they now have the capacity to inform other up-and-coming leaders. The second part of that first question was what are the core and technical trainings and to engage and motivate employees? And so we do find it valuable to make sure that we provide constructive feedback to all of our educational leaders and teachers, but we also have incentives tied into their own performance. So we have several different structures in place to be able to support and to incentivize educational leaders. We have demographic pay, so depending upon the demographics of a school that the principal would go to, they would receive additional money to go to that site and to do the extra work that might be involved based upon, for example, the poverty level of the school. We also employ performance pay, so based upon the academic improvements of the school, as well as the evaluation of the principal. School performance is a portion. It actually constitutes 33% of the final evaluation for our principals. And based upon their rating at the end of the year, whether they're highly effective, needs improvement, or an unsatisfactory, they would be entitled to a performance pay increase just for that year. And then we also have incentive pay that are also tied in there. So within our incentive pay plan, we encourage principals to participate on committees in the district, whether it be textbook adoption, curriculum, student discipline committees, and what have you, to be able to also gain their leadership capacity across areas. But we also have professional growth incentives in there too. So as principals participate in outside professional development activities that are aligned to their goals and to their needs, depending upon the hours that they receive, we will reimburse them funding for the time that they've taken to do so. As a result of some of the structures that we put in place in Manatee County, our district has been hiring more capable leaders. We've been improving the leadership capacity at both the school and the district level, because a lot of those people that have come up through those different tiers have now transcended to district level leadership. And so that sustained capacity is being constantly constructed here in our district. And it's important that it's taking place that way, because our district is growing exponentially in size. We're adding approximately 1,000 students to our district every single year. And so with that growth comes the construction of schools, the additional add-ons to schools to be able to accommodate the additional students. But with that comes additional hiring of teachers, principals, assistant principals, and so on and so forth. So the need is definitely there, is to increase that bench of capable leaders that are ready to take on a school, and so we build the capacity in that one way too. One of the other things that we also do with our school-based leaders is we move them around. We give them different experiences. I don't know how many individuals out there are specifically familiar with education, but In education, we have Title I schools, which are schools of high poverty, and those principals will sometimes be switched out for a more affluent school, and vice versa, so that that their capacity is widespread and far-reaching. So that's a little bit about what we do here, and if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those questions.
Thank you very much, Ryan. I appreciate it. We're going to lead into our next panelist, Jennifer. Jennifer Macadlo, a global-minded professional, experienced in the areas of learning needs, assessment, development, facilitation, and management, talent identification, acquisition, and human resource project management. Jennifer is an advocate of corporate social responsibility and a participant in various philanthropic and community events. Jennifer is located in the Schaumburg office for Nielsen Company. She holds the role of Director, Talent Engagement and Development, where she consults on talent engagement strategy as well as design and development of leadership curriculum, content, and resources for the global regions. Prior to this, she had a senior project manager role supporting the Emerging Leader Program for Global Business Services, as well as a senior human resource business partner role supporting various teams within the Global Business Services function. Jennifer provided strategic support regarding change initiatives, people performance decisions, talent management, retention, and engagement. She has been with Nielsen for 7 years. Jennifer possesses 16 years of varied learning and development, human resource, operational development, and recruitment. Throughout her career, she has utilized her leadership, planning, and managerial skills in a variety of ways. Jennifer holds a Bachelor of Science degree in business from North Central College. She is an active member of Sable Employee Resource Group, the Women in Nielsen, WIN Network at Nielsen, and holds a role on the Global Nielsen Cares philanthropy team. Jennifer and her husband Paul reside in Bolingbrook, Illinois, with their sons Tyler and Connor. And fun stuff she likes to do is wine tasting, the theater, and spending time with family in the cultural diversity of downtown Chicago. Jennifer, I'm going to now promote you to host.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's certainly a pleasure to have been working with you, and I look forward to fielding questions from those on the call today, or if there are questions after today, I'm certainly happy to share. I'm conscious of time, so I'll do my best to get through this material quickly so that we can move to our last and final panelists and certainly go to other questions. I'm also going to attempt to screen share, so let's see if that works. If you can just give me an audible yes that you can hear it, that would be wonderful. And I'm going to do that now. So just let me know if you can see.
I can see it.
All right, fantastic. All right, so for those of you that may not know who Nielsen is, just a real quick introduction. We are an organization that provides insights into what consumers watch and what consumers buy. We have 46,000 associates in over 100 countries, and it really is an opportunity for us as an organization to consult and give our clients and stakeholders the most complete view of trends and buying habits and watching habits worldwide. So very simply, the guys and gals that provide you with the Nielsen ratings, that is what Nielsen does. That's one of what Nielsen does. But again, we're looking at specific measurements and insights to help our clients drive profitable growth across multinational segments. So in terms of human resources and learning and OD professionals, I mentioned that we have over 46,000 associates across the globe. There are about 200 HR professionals in varying roles, and then also a team of approximately 50, 60 people that hold various roles within engagement and development. And so that could mean organizational development specialists. It could mean instructional designers and developers. It also could mean operations specialists and engagement leaders, such as myself. And our roles are to support the business initiatives specific to learning and organizational development. One of the things that we did in, I want to say early 2015, is we identified the fact that we really needed to understand what the internal Nielsen brand is and what the Nielsen employee experience consists of. So what we did is we got a group of individuals together across the globe in various focus group type settings, and that was a little over 500 people, to identify specifically what the employee experience at Nielsen means to them. And what we came up with were three things. The idea that an associate can be themselves, they can make a difference, and they can grow with us. And Nicole, I will say that I'm having some trouble advancing the slides through the share. So if it ends up catching up with itself, that's great. If it doesn't, I'm just going to continue to talk through. So the employee experience, you can be you can make a difference, and you can grow with us. Those are the three things, or the three pillars that, in short, define what Nielsen wants to be as an organization. And underneath each of those pillars, we have identified initiatives that will help grow our associates. So again, the goal is creating and improving the Nielsen employee experience. So in terms of you can be you, that really is about the whole you, right? So it's things like local initiatives, local benefits, things that really allow the associate to be themselves and bring their whole self to work. When it comes to making a difference, those are things that we institute globally, such as our Global Day of Service, making a difference, volunteering initiatives, a global support fund that helps individuals across the globe in times of crisis, as well as offering up dedicated volunteer time that is approved and supported by the organization globally. In terms of grow with us, the learning piece, why all of you are here today, we've instituted things like check-in, which is a quarterly performance management initiative. We've also launched a brand new learning platform called My Learning to help support the learning of our associates. And we've also launched a career development framework and an entire system that sits on the Success Factors platform, which includes the opportunity for an associate to complete an online resume, an online profile, if you will, as well as to identify their aspirations and the things that they do well at Nielsen. And all of that is public consumption. So anyone across Nielsen can take a look at anyone's profile and their aspirations at any time. The employee experience really does underpin everything that we do at Nielsen. So the check-in process, we went from a biannual, so mid-year and end-of-year performance review, to a quarterly process. And that change from an annual review and a mid-year cycle really is about enabling our people leaders to create ongoing conversations with their team. So check-ins are about the in-the-moment discussion about performance, which would be your priorities, and feedback on those priorities, and an associate's experience, motivation, and career aspirations. So we move to quarterly check-ins to encourage more frequent discussions that are going to strengthen connections between associates and their managers. It allows managers and associates to adjust priorities as the business and the client needs move and evolve and shift. And it allows them to focus on the work with the greatest impact. And then, of course, it allows managers a formal process to provide real-time feedback to help them continuously adapt, learn, and grow. And then, lastly, but certainly not least, the aspiration. So it gives a forum for the associate to discuss what motivates them and talk about how they'd like to grow with the organization. So we encourage our people leaders, our managers, to leverage their general one-on-one connections as check-ins. They don't have to be separate conversations. And so the goal is to personalize those conversations and create an ongoing dialogue all year long. And to support check-ins, we made the decision to institute the My Learning platform, which is the global learning platform that houses all of our learning, whether it's e-learning or the opportunity to register for a brand new workshop or a program. It's all done through that centralized system. And so My Learning is the central hub for training and formal learning resources at Nielsen that can help our employees to improve their skills and knowledge, as well as to expand new areas of development. So ultimately, the aspiration is that you've got an associate population who truly believes that their manager, their HR business partner, their colleagues, their engagement partners support them to grow their career. and that they're in charge of their own career development. So that's something that we tout at Nielsen frequently, that it's not up to the manager to provide the learning and development plan for an associate. It truly is the associate's responsibility to stop, pause, reflect, and to think about what it is that they want to be doing, whether it's growth in their current role, growth outside of their role, growth laterally, upward, across, and then make some decisions to move an action plan forward. And we want them to believe that Nielsen invests in them. Then, of course, you've got people leaders. We want them to truly believe that they are here to help people grow, that they're developing the future leaders of Nielsen, and they have to take a committed and thorough interest in their associates. And they also have to embrace talent movement at Nielsen. So it's not enough to say, I develop my people, but then I'm going to keep them all to myself. It truly is about ensuring that the associates know that managers are here for them and that they are in charge of their development and that their movement within Nielsen is supported. So when you've got those two things working in harmony, you truly have genuine career partnerships. And that means we're going to grow our people internally at Nielsen. We allow them to be themselves. We allow them to make a difference and grow with us how they want to. They own their path. And ultimately what that does is that allows us to grow at Nielsen. It builds and improves expertise within the Nielsen environment. It also ensures that experiences reflect who an associate wants to be at Nielsen, and it allows us to be the best that we can be when we're delivering to our clients and to our stakeholders. So with that, I'm going to stop. I'm sorry that we experienced some technical issues. I'm going to turn it over to Nicole, who will introduce our next speaker.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Venus Rekow is the founder of Neural Shifts. It's a consulting firm focused on developing leaders and teams using applied neuroscience. She works with executives to drive performance in the midst of rapid change and trains teams to apply neuroscience principles to make learning stick. Her clients include Fortune 500 companies and mid-sized businesses. She has earned a BS in psychology from Boise State University, an MS in organizational development from Seattle University, and completed coursework for a MS in neuroscience from University of Oberta, Spain. In addition, she is a certified executive coach from the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching and the Neuro Leadership Institute. With that said, I am going to go ahead and share my screen with Venus's presentation, and you let me know if you can see the presentation.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning for those who are on the East Coast still, on the West Coast, I'm sorry. Thank you for having me here, Nicole, and I'm happy to participate and learn from other panelists as well. I want to start with just talking a little bit about the challenge that we are as HR and OD professionals are facing, and it's something that kind of piggybacks into what Jennifer had mentioned, which is Nicole, can you please pass to the next one, to the next slide? Thank you. The old model of learning and development, and specifically personal development, was giving people a lot of data, yes, in our trainings, and scoring them as if they were in school. So we were following the school model of development. You get an A, you get a B, you get a C. So no wonder people were reacting the same way to our performance reviews. When we give them an A, let's say, people will still complain, why isn't it an A+? And so what we're doing now with the new model of development, I think that Nielsen is illustrating these, is we are recreating how development happens. We're thinking more on how the brain works and how we can tap into the brain strengths. Specifically, we know that the brain has the capacity to change, and that's called neuroplasticity. So we are saying, okay, now since the brain can change, we can give development milestones, so we can give development training based on what the person, where the person is in this journey. And we're creating content that is more specialized to the individual and is not a standard approach. The other thing that we know, besides neuroplasticity, is that every single brain is different because it gets wired differently based on the environment. So we are coming in and saying, hey, we know that just sitting in a classroom is not enough for us to learn. One of the things that helps learning is actually getting repetition. It's getting exposed to the same data in different ways. It's allowing the brain to process that data. And that's something that we're doing differently now in terms of development. Now, I'm curious, just love to hear how many of you in the audience are applying any neuroscience training or concepts to strengthen your learning and development initiatives? And you can please reply in the chat box.
I went ahead and launched the poll.
Okay. Can you see the results, Nicole?
Yep, right now we're about 50-50. I gave them options yes, no, and not sure. So we're now at 33% saying yes, 67% saying no.
Okay, great, thank you. So what we're doing now in organizations, when we work with large organizations, is we're teaching them the basic concepts of neuroscience, how the brain works in terms of processing data, what do we need in the midst of chaos, in the midst of rapid change, and how we can use these concepts to enable employees to be focused, which is a challenge for, I would say, every single person, including myself, to be able to stay focused, to be able to retain information, and most importantly, to be able to apply that information in the long term. Can you please switch to the next slide? Thank you. As we move into the new way, the new practices of learning, what I've seen is that organizations are implementing coaching and the trainings. So they're doing the training sessions, but in between, they're doing coaching sessions to reinforce the learning and to enable the learners to have a group setting, but also a one-on-one, where they feel a little bit more safe to practice the skills that they're learning. Another thing that I'm seeing that we're actually implementing is with leaders. We're working on biofeedback. We're teaching leaders who want to perform at their peak mentally to apply biofeedback in ways that enable them to understand how their pattern of stress shows up and how to manage that stress in order to be more effective. Because as we all are experiencing, the amount of change that is happening in organization is very rapid. The amount of data that our brain needs to compute is significant, and we are not necessarily ready for this type of change. Because we were trained to learn data, and now we're trying to use data. That's what we need to train our brain to do. So what we're doing now with the personalization of this training is really focusing on each brain and saying, no, everybody works the same. We're going to focus on how your brain works and what can you do to perform at your peak. And leaders, as you know, leaders need to be able to maintain a certain level of health to perform, to be able to do the most complex tasks, which is problem solving, decision making, I would say like problem solving, decision making are at the core. And what else are we doing? Let me ask another thing, since coaching is a thing that we're doing a lot. It's how many of you are training your managers on coaching skills?
I accidentally launched that question at the same time as the other question, and we have 100% on yes.
Okay, great. No problem. Awesome. Great. And so with that, it's the new approach. That's wonderful to hear because as Nielsen has mentioned, they're doing these check-ins, and this is what I see. I work a lot with the high-tech industry. I'm in Seattle. And so I see that we're moving in performance management from once a year, check in and see how are you doing, pass or fail, final exams, to actually having conversations of growth and development, looking for effort, looking for progress. And one of the things that we need to do is teach the managers and the leaders to have those conversations and use coaching skills to manage the conversation with employees. When leaders use coaching skills, they're able to also help people do career development and understand where they are in their career. The other thing, as I mentioned, is we're including coaching in between the training sessions. We're doing applying neuroscience classes for leaders. So leaders at GM level, VP, they're very interested in really the science, the scientific part of the brain and how this applies to learning. And so we're teaching that to them. We're using biofeedback practices with leaders. And in general, what we've seen in terms of the ROI of these type of trainings is that we have higher engagement and we have higher retention rates. I know of Coca-Cola in Russia, specifically a division in Russia, they went from 78% turnover rate to 26%. And that's pretty significant in a short amount of time. So I want to be mindful of time, and I'm going to stop right there to let for any questions. Nicole, can you please pass to the following page? The next one. Thank you. I just want to say thank you. I want to show right there. I'm holding a real human brain, and it's one of my favorite things ever. And so I like always to share the brain. If you could please share, those are just my details. Thank you very much, and I'd love to hear your questions if you have any questions.
So with that, we'll open it up to the audience. Are there questions that you'd like to present, or are there anyone that would like to ask questions directly of our panelists today?
Nicole, there was a question that had come in directly from one of the participants to me about Nielsen's employee experience process. So perhaps I can answer that if that would be okay.
That would be awesome.
All right, I'll be brief to allow others who are bold and brave and want to ask other questions. So the question was asked, when in the employment life cycle are Nielsen's employees and managers introduced to the employee experience? And that's at the time of hire. So at the time of hire, it's a part of the onboarding process. And we have done this, we've had this process in place since 2015. I want to say third quarter of 2015 is when it was introduced. So just over about 18 months or so. So it hasn't been in place for that long. We have a cycle for the employee engagement survey this summer. And so this summer, we're going to be focusing very specifically on the initiatives that we've rolled out, because our survey happens every 2 years. So this is going to be the year where we're going to ask specific questions about the employee experience, not just reaction, but the resonance and the impact. So I'll have more potential data, if you will, to share, but I don't have it today. But I can tell you that in the spot surveys that we run, or pulse check surveys that we run at Nielsen, it's been very positively received. Employees appreciate the open dialogue and connection that they have with their managers and managers with their associates. As far as the decision-making process for adopting and implementing that approach and that shift in culture at Nielsen, it really was a labor of love. It was something that didn't just happen overnight. As I mentioned, we rolled it out in 2015, third quarter 2015. And so the work really began, the focus groups, the connections, the research, talking with people at GE, talking with HR and OD professionals at Johnson & Johnson, other large organizations that made the shift in their performance management culture. So all of that was done starting in 2014 into 2015, finally rolled out the employee experience in third quarter of 2015. And so it continues to evolve. So it definitely, as I said, was not something that was done overnight or in a vacuum. It definitely took an army of people and a labor of love to get that off the ground. I hope that helps answer the questions.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm not having any other questions come in. Is there anything further you'd like to elaborate on, any of the panelists, based on the other conversations that we've had? Yeah.
I think that the only thing I would like to add, Nicole, and thanks for asking, is that what we're moving to is really creating communities of practice in which learning and development is a core to how we grow as individuals. And we are creating systems that enable us to grow, because we can't grow by ourselves. We can't grow in isolation. So what I see in terms of trends is a community of practice that enables everyone to support growth. And in terms of behavior change, we see that, you know, behavior changes when we have that type of support, when we have a support system. When we are alone, we're really unable to get there. I was actually hearing a study about some children who were actually in Chicago, who were having issues with crime. They were going to the juvenile system, and they were given an intervention and helping them understand how to manage their emotions, and specifically anger management. And they had a group that didn't receive this training. And what they saw is the kids who did have that training and had that support, their rates of incarceration were 44% less than the ones who didn't receive any training. However, after 2 years of not having that support, that system, they went back to their regular rates of incarceration. And when I heard this, I thought this is a reminder of the importance of having this support system, having that community that enables you to grow and learn.
I see Jordan has asked a question, and I'd be more than happy to try to answer his question if you'd like me to, or if there's another person in queue.
Sure. Let's go ahead and ask the question that came in.
So Jordan had asked me what level of success have we seen in the metrics with the ratings of the schools, and for the principals who are lower performing, have we had a success in moving them to different schools or vice versa? Would you be able to give me control? And I'd like to be able to show a graphic.
Certainly. You are set.
All right. So you can see my screen then?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so this is sort of a trend that we've had over the past several years. Just to answer his question, the success that we've had with our metrics. So the first thing that I wanted to say is that, you know, we do implement a continuous improvement cycle for our professional development, our schools, our classrooms, all the way from the top down. We utilize a continuous improvement process for our highest performing schools and our lowest performing schools, and as well as the district. So through the utilization of that continuous improvement process, since 2013, we had 18 DNF schools in our district, and last year we went down to 9. Based upon our current metrics of utilizing our formative assessments throughout the school year, we're predicting no F schools this year, and just several D schools possibly. So that's an example, Jordan, of how this sustained support, as well as data analysis, has been able to affect what we're doing here in Manatee County.
I want to say thank you for everyone for joining us today, and for joining in the conversation. I think it was a very helpful conversation to share kind of what's going on around as far as supporting our managers to focus on that professional learning, as well as helping individual employees understand the accountability and share. Oh, Scott's just saying his mic is fully kaput, so he's not able to ask it. But if you want to type it in the question area, we'll make sure we get that answered for you, Scott. But I want to say thank you for everyone for attending our very first event, and I will be sending an email to everyone just to a link so that you can continue the conversation if you think of additional questions after today, as well as sharing feedback. I know that I'm still learning. There's some things that I learned today that I need to do a little better at for our future events, make it run a little bit more seamless. But we want to make sure that we continually make adjustments to strengthen the program for future events, and that includes topics. So if you have ideas on topics that you'd like to see down the line, please make sure you go ahead and share those with me. And save the date for our next event, which is April 5th. We're going to address the topic of change management with panelists from Delphi as well as Bank of America.